Hey everyone, Martin's here again, and now I'll be doing a tutorial on the restaurant script. Like previously, I've did on dealerships and workshops. Today is for restaurants. The other tutorials took a lot of time. It was like half an hour edited because the tutorial was like 50 minutes every tutorial. This one is the most advanced script I have because so I probably the tutorial will be a little bigger than the others before, but I'll try my best to don't be because it is a lot of time for people to watch and do everything. But since it is scripts really advanced and have a lot of features, explain everything can take a little time, even if I speak fast and speak a lot to explain everything in the less time I can, but I'll try my best. So first of all, the most important thing is when you buy the script, you really need to check the dependencies and read this part. This is really important because a lot of people ignore this part, but the script only works correctly with the aux inventory and is the one we really advise to use. It also works with QB inventory, but we don't really use advise to use that. Also, there are only some inventories that people normally ask if it works, like US inventory from Quasar. No, it does not work, and is not planning to do any updates since that inventory don't have the features to do the changes on the images and labels based on the metadata. That's what we use here, so it will not work. Also, if you have a really dated version of QB inventory, it also will not work since we need to do some changes on the inventory and it is only for the new inventory and also for the default inventory. So if you want, you need to figure out how to do the changes by yourself. Also, you can buy the open source if you really want to use the script and want to adapt to any other inventory, but we don't really want to use any other inventory other than aux inventory. So the first thing you gotta do after buying the script is download it. You can access the keymaster, then search for restaurants. You download the V2. Don't download the other. You just need the V2 version. So you have this, so copy and paste on your resources. I'm gonna place these here, create a folder, and we paste this here, right? After this, now we need to go to our documentation, emptyscripts.dev, and you slide into the empty restaurants 2.0 installation. So first thing to do on this installation is run the SQL. So you just open your SQL management software. I'm using ADSQL. I'm really used to use this, so this is the one I'm using. You just run the queries. It will be created right here. Restaurants menus and receipts. So next part is the items. If you use QB inventory, just place these. Since I'm using aux inventory, I'm using these ones. So just go to aux inventory, data, items.lua, and paste the items there. Really easy, simple as any other script installation. Now we need to do probably the most advanced part of the installation of the script, that is the aux inventory craft changes. You don't need to do this if you don't want to use the inventory as a craft, and if you want to use the auxlib menu to craft instead of the inventory. So if you want to use auxlib, just don't do this part of the code. But since I want to use this, I'm gonna be doing the changes. So you go on docs inventory client.lua, and the first change is here. So copy the callback name and search with Control F, search for the place where it is and replace the code. Simple. Next part is still in the same file. You just short search for the other callback, replace the whole script code. That's it. Now it is on the server crafting, on the modules crafting server.lua. In here you just do the changes, copy, search, it is there, right? The first function of the script, you just select the whole function and replace it. Will create the export and also do some changes in here. Other changes still on the same file. You just search for this and change. It is the same for all, so it's pretty easy to do. Just select the whole code and change. Still in the same file, search, copy, replace. Simple. Now we have a little change that is not the same as the workshops. In the Ox inventory modules, items, no, utils, sorry, utils.server, server.lua. So in here, you just paste this. But we have a little issue in here, that is, most of the customers have some issues with the .com directory, .com domain. So you gotta copy this. If you have that issue, just copy both and you will not have any issues, and you place this .co instead of .com. So the installation is almost done. For QB inventory, if you have QB inventory, you don't do the Ox inventory changes, but you gotta do the items changes for the QB inventory. That is basically download this file, click here, download the file and replace on your inventory HTML folder. Now is the jobs part. Since I'm using QBox, I'm gonna be doing the installation of the jobs on the shared jobs.lua and just copy the jobs created in the documentation and paste here. This is for QBox and QBCar, but if you use ESX, you gotta create the jobs manually on the SQL or use some job creator script you have that most of the ESX users have. So that's pretty much it for the installation part. Now we gotta do the configuration of the script. So you go open the folder on the Visual Studio Code if you want, or just the files you want to change, but I mostly do this because it is easier to work. So first changes you gotta do is on the config.lua. I'm gonna do a pass through really fast by all of these changes because it is pretty explained and pretty easy to do. So that debug is basically the debug of the script if you want to enable the zones or disable, and this is basically if you're configuring the script, we advise to have this enabled. Then we have the framework. We have 3 available frameworks: QB, QBX, and ESX. QB is QBCore, QBX is QBox, ESX is ESX. For the core, you gotta change the export for ESX if you're using ESX. Otherwise, if you're using QBox or QBCore, just leave as default for the QBCore export. Then we have the target. We have 3 pre-configured target systems, that is the Ox target, QB target, and interact. You can also change these on the functions.lua. Here you have all the target functions. These 2 functions, you can change just the exports and that's it. For the banking, this is not mostly the banking, but mostly used as a banking. It is the script you use to handle your jobs money. Let's imagine if you use QB management, the old QB management, to handle your job money, just go here and paste QB management. If you use some script that is not pre-configured, in here you gotta go on the server functions.lua. In here you can also change the script exports. It is only the add money exports for the register. So back on the config, we have the key system. It is the same thing. Basically, you place here your scripts keys. If it is not pre-configured, you just go on the client, search for spawn name, spawn vehicle, sorry. In here, in this function, you can change the keys here, but I'm gonna do a little explanation better on this file later. So now we have this for QB inventory. This is not for Yox inventory like it is here, so you can ignore this. Basically, inventories database is the database you use for the inventories. On the new inventories, inventories. On the old inventories, stash items. The same for the column. For the new inventory is identifier, for the old it is stash. Pretty easy to do, just set what you use based on your inventory. For the images directory, most of the people have some issues doing this, but it's really easy. Just change Ox inventory to QB inventory. and the web to HTML, and that's it. Really easy, simple. That's it. Here is the progress bar position in the text UI position. You just set the position you want. Then we have the max prepares per item. Basically, this is the the amount of items, the max amount of items you can craft per time on the craft system. Then we have the use aux inventory craft. Basically, if you set this to false, you'll be using aux leave menu instead of the aux craft changes. And this is the config I said. If you want to use the aux leave menu, you don't need to do the aux inventory craft changes. Then we have the duties zones. Basically, if you don't want the players to have the job toggle right when then they enter and exit this restaurant zone, you just set this to false. Then we have the offline shops. Basically, this is the plate. This config can be ignored because this was for the old offline shops system, or we don't use this option right now. Then we have the control, the key from keyboard to get up on the seats. 38 is default, is E, so you can search for the controls and change if you want. We have the progress bar times. This is in milliseconds, so it is just change here, and that's pretty much it. The box slots and weight, you can set this for where you like. And then we have the logs webhooks. Basically, you create the webhook on your Discord and paste here the webhook link, and that's it. Another config we gotta do, and is really important, most of the people don't do. If you don't use these specs described here, in this case, let's imagine you don't use the GN Studios Burger Shot props. You just delete this. Since I'm not using any of these props, I'm gonna be deleting all of this. So it is pretty easy to do, right? Just delete and that's it. Just use the default ones. Basic animations. Then we have the delivery.lua. This can be ignored. This is just locations you can change if you want. And if you don't want, don't change. Here you have all of the pads that will spawn. Ingredients. I'm gonna do a little tutorial on this later on how to add new items, etc. But what I want to say right now is that all of these items here, the needed items and item need all to be inside your inventory items.lua. Otherwise, it will throw an error. You will not be able to create receipts or craft any item. Then the shops, if you don't want to use any ingredient shop, just go here and delete this. Otherwise, if you want to use or want to create more, just go copy, create, change the items. That's up to you. So right now I'm gonna slide into the server with the script configured. I'm right now inside the server and I'm here on the GN clock-in bell MLO. It is a pre-configured MLO. So I'm gonna be doing a little fast through into the restaurants folder. Here is all the pre-configured restaurants, but we have an example file that I'm gonna be showing later on the video on how to use this and create a new restaurant if you don't use any of these MLOs. So first of all, I'm here, so I'm gonna be showing a little way on how to create the receipts and etc, because it is also a thing people have some issues. So I'm gonna be setting my job, and that's pretty much it. Now I have the clock-in bell shop. So inside the restaurant we have some features that are really interesting. So the first feature and the most important one, the boss menu. So in here we can open the management menu, and this can be changed if you use another management menu on the functions file. Then we have the creation of new recipes. So let's imagine if this menu is not opening and you having an error on the F8, basically you have, but the NPCs don't shut up. So basically you have missing ingredient items on your items.lua. So make sure that all of the ingredients are added into your items.lua, otherwise this will not work. So the first thing you gotta do is basically set all of these settings. Let's, I don't know, Francesinha, just a name, I don't know. This is a really good Portuguese food. Then we have like some description. This is optional, so I'm not describing anything. And now we have the most important part that all of the people have some issues, that is the image part. So we gotta open the imgbb.com, or if you want, you can also open the .ebb.co, and it will redirect you to here. So we can upload some image. So I'm gonna be doing like, I'm gonna be downloading a little PNG item from us processing, some random image. Let's imagine this one is good. So we upload the image here, and then we place send, and then we get the direct link. Now in game you place this link here, and now we choose the animation. I'm gonna be choosing like dinner dish. Then we have food or drink. You choose. This is the place where the station where it will be able to have there. And then we set the price. I'm gonna be placing 100, and then we choose the ingredients. I'm gonna be choosing flour, meat, probably, yeah, meat, and I don't know, some more meat, and that's pretty much it. You don't need to set all. So here you have the item created. If you want to edit or delete it, it is possible to do here. So right now, if I go to that station, the item will be there. So here is the grill. No, here's the fryer. Here is the grill, and the item is here. So I need all the items set here. I need the flour and the cut meat. I don't have the images added on the inventory. That's why it is showing right there. So I'm gonna be giving me some flour like that. No, I think it is cut. It is wheat. Yeah, right. And now I need some cut meat. And now if I open this again, you see I can craft the item. That's pretty much it. You can use it, you can don't use it, just do whatever you want. And now I've eaten a frosasenia. This is one part people have some issues. The rest is really easy. I'm gonna be now showing just a little thing that most of the people don't know. So now with the processing done, we can open the menu, and here on the offline shop we can just place it in here. And as soon as I get off the zone, let's imagine I'm here and I want to get outside. I go outside the zone and I get off duty, right? So if I set my job as, I don't know, unemployed, it can be any other job than the restaurant job. I join here and you'll see that the job pad will spawn. This only will spawn when there is no one with the job set inside the MLO. So you really need to be outside the MLO. No one can be inside the MLO with the job set. So let's imagine I now got outside the zone and inside with the job set. So the pad is not here, right? I think the explanation of some features of the script is basically that. It is pretty easy to use, really good. If you have some question on any other feature I haven't said here, please open ticket on my Discord. Now I'm gonna be creating a new restaurant file. So as an example of an MLO, I don't have pre-configured this free burger shot MLO. I don't have this pre-configured, but I'm gonna be doing a thing that is, I have all of these MLOs, pre-configured restaurants. If you don't want to use all of these, you only use some. You go here, delete everything you're not using. I'm just using Clocking Bell. So go here, delete these, and that's pretty much it. You don't need this. So now I have the example file that I'm gonna be changing to burger shot. And this will be the burger shot, right? Then you need to create the job, but I'm gonna be using some job I really already have created. So let's imagine what I have here as burger shot. fast pushy. I'm gonna be using this job. You set the config.restaurants as the job name. These need to match the job every time. You enable the restaurant, change the label, and now we have here the ingredients. This will basically be signed with this list, but if you want to create some new list of ingredients, you can just do that. Let's imagine I have this, but I don't want to use, I can just create like burger shots, and now I have only, let's imagine I only have meat and some other things like, yeah, these items I want to use on burger shot. You just go here, create a new table, copy the table name and replace here. Then we have the max ingredients. This is the maximum of ingredients that people can use on receipts. You can set this to any number you want. Then here is the max receipts, basically the maximum of receipts that the restaurant can create. This is the maximum price for the receipt. Let's imagine if you don't want people to be charging like $2,000 for a burger, you just set there the price, and it will also prevent from having issues on the delivery, so people can just set the price of the of the item higher, and then they can receive more on the delivery system. Here we change the blip. It is pretty easy as any other blip. You copy the place where you want the blip to be. I'm using vector3 command. So here is, so if you want to change the blip, just search for 5M blips. You search for the blip you want to use. I'm gonna be using a B. Let's imagine where I have a B. Probably up here, like here. You change the sprite and the color. I'm gonna be setting the color as a red. It is 1. So you just go here, set 1, and this part you can just don't change. Now the zone is also a thing most people don't do correctly. So you have some commands in game that you can use for that. That is the zone poly to create the zone. So as soon as you do the command, the creator will show and it will create a point on the place you are. So you just set this point, you press X to move, go to the next location where you want the next point to be, X again and space, and it will create you a new zone, as you see there. So next place I want is up here, so I'm gonna be there. Let's imagine here on the corner. Here's a good place. So X again, space. Now since I'm down here, I'm gonna be using the no clip, and you can set the next location, I don't know, here, just the way, in any way that this will cover the whole MLO. And the last place here. Basically it is done. You press enter, confirm, and these will be on your oxlib created zones. And then you have all the points. You just copy the points, go on the file, replace with the points there. Don't change the thickness unless you have some building with some levels and you want it to cover the world levels. So the zone is done. Now we have the other locations. I'm gonna be just doing an example for one location, then you got to for the rest. Basically, let's imagine the management, where I'm gonna be placing the management. Now here's outside. So I don't have any good place to put the management, so I'm gonna be placing this here. You do the slash zone sphere command to get the sphere zone. Then you use the commands that are on the side to choose the size of the zone. In this case, I'm gonna be using like this. I think it is pretty much what I need. You then get this created in the same file. You just copy, replace, and it is pretty much that. Change the radius to the 1 and do the same for all of these settings. I'm gonna be doing these really fast and I'm gonna cut the video, but it is the same as I did in the management, so pretty much it. I know that some people have some issues setting um, chairs up, so what I'm gonna be doing is a little way on how to do this really easily. This is really easy to set, right? So you create the sphere with the slash zone sphere, then you place these as the size is 0.3. So let's imagine you have the zone and you have the chair like this. You place the zone on in the middle of the chair like this. Pretty easy. You basically set the zone in the middle of the chair, right? Then you change and place these the way you want. Like let's imagine I want the player to be a little more to the back of the chair like this. I set like this and I press enter and I'll be getting these vector 3 chords. So we don't need the vector 3, we need the vector 4. So what I'm going to be doing is we start creating the vector 4, place that vector 3 chords, and then we go here, place right the heading we want and do slash heading to get the correct heading. If I restart the script, as you see, the chair is here and I'm sitting correctly on the chair. Really easy to do it in this way instead of being with the pad, trying to find the correct way possible. This is really easy to do this way instead of having a lot of issues doing the installation of this. So this config is done. I'm not be doing all of the chairs. So I'm gonna be deleting the chairs because there is no point to have one chair. This config will be on the snippets channel on my Discord. So if you want to use this, just go there and see. As you can see now, if I enable the debug, I'm gonna be showing a little thing. I'm gonna be setting the debug to true, right? And now I restart the script, and as you can see, the zone is here. And if I set the job to my player, I have access to everything in the script. Pretty easy to install, pretty easy to configure. There is no secret on anything. You have a lot of pre-configured MLOs, probably all of the most used MLOs on the market. If you don't find any MLO on the pre-configured ones, you can just join my server, and in the snippets channel on my server there is a lot of pre-configured MLOs that the community sent there. Like all of the Gabs MLOs are there. If you use some Gabs MLO, just go there and it is there. Now, the last thing to finish this tutorial will be a little explanation on how to change the exports of the banking, etc. Like I showed on the video before. It is pretty simple. Let's imagine you have a different target system. You go here on the functions client and just change the exports here. If you have some target that use the same exports as QB target, don't change here, just place that target name on the config, and that's pretty much it. It will use that. The same for this target. And now the management. This is pre-configured for the default boss menus script from every framework. In this case for QB, it is the QB boss menu, that is the QB management, and for QBX is the QBX management, ESX is the ESX society, The same for every framework, that default ones. Here you can change the progress bar. You have a lot of open functions that you can change. It is pretty easy to change. For the key system, just go here, change the export for the ones you use. The same for the remove keys function. If you use some keys system that uses items like renewed vehicle keys, you just change the export here to remove the vehicle key. Now the buffs part in the ingredients part is also pretty important, and now here you can change the buffs effects and everything the buffs will do. This is something that I really advise only to do if you have some knowledge on this. If you don't have any knowledge, you can open a ticket. I'll be showing a little examples like it is here, but mostly if you don't have knowledge, you'll not be able to do much things in this, even though this is really easy to do. It is just set a condition to the buff you want to use. Basically, this is connected with the buffs on the ingredients. So here's the config, the custom buffs, and here the buffs you set inside here like this will be used in here. Like as you see, alcohol is set in here. It is the alcohol is set to 50. Then we have the armor, stress, everything is set here, and then here we have the alcohol effect. So in the client functions, that's pretty much it. Now we're gonna slide into the server functions. In here you can change the exports for the banking system to use the ones you use on your server. Mostly if they use the add money export, you don't need to change here. It's the same, just change in the config.banking, and that's pretty much it. Now you have a lot of opened functions you have here in the callbacks, but this is for people who have knowledge to change exports for inventories, etc. We don't really advise change anything in here if you don't have the knowledge to do that, if you don't know what you're doing. So in the ingredients part, it is really confusing for a lot of people, but this is really simple. So first of all, we have the tables differed for every restaurant, like I showed before. Like we have the burger shot ingredients in the global ingredients. This is reference. This will be referenced. Fuck, I don't know how to speak this thing. Whatever. This will be set on the restaurant file. Easy this way. So now you have the list of ingredients and the needed items to craft that ingredient. These ingredients will be on the prepare station. Like I showed on the showcase video, you have the prepare station in here, and as you can see, all the ingredients would be here with the crafted. We don't have the image added, but it's pretty much it. If you have some item that you want to be on the ingredients, but you want that item to be shown in the prepare, let's imagine I have the fish here. As you can see, the fish is here, but I don't no longer want the fish to be able to be crafted and just to get in some way. The fish will be removed from here if you set the need cut as false, as you can see. But if you set these as false, you don't need these because you can just delete these, and that's pretty much like the way the others are before down here. Inside this will be the list of the items you'll need to cut this item. Let's imagine you have an onion and you want that onion to be cut, and it will give you the cutted onion item. You set the count in here. This will be the number of cutted onions that will be given when you cut one onion. This is where it is set here. Then we have the type. This can be used on food and drink, but if you have some item that you only want to be able to use on food, like this one, or only want to be able on drink, you just set drink or food in this table. Then we have the calories. This is really simple to explain, really simple to do. So easiest way to explain this is basically every item has its own calories, as you see here. So this cutted onion will have 100 calories, which means that every 10 calories equals to 1% of food. So this will give you 10% of food, or hunger or thirst, basically. When you do the recipe, it will multiply and basically sum all of the calories from all of the ingredients. So if you, let's imagine you have 3 onions added to that recipe, it will be 300 calories. Simple. Imagine you have 1 carrot and 2 onions, it will also be 300, which means it will give you 30% of hunger or thirst. Really easy to do. You just set here the calories. You can, like this example, you can do some ingredients will give you more food than others, and then the players creating the recipes will need to find what is the best combination to give the best food and have the best food in the server, let's imagine. Then with the buffs, it is even funnier for the players to understand how the buffs are done, how they can have food with buffs and find the best combinations, like I said before. So every buff it is the same thing. Every ingredient with that buff will be multiplied and added to the other ingredient buff, and it will give the recipe buffs. Let's imagine you have 2 ingredients, in this case lemon and onion. Lemon have 10% of stress, and onion has the same amount. It will give you 20% of stress added to the recipe. It is basically the same. It is pretty easy to understand and configure. If you have any question, feel free to open ticket. Just don't open ticket to some stupid questions. Open ticket in simple things. If you have the customer rule, you can just ask on the support channel. Any error you have, please let me know. I forgot to show a little thing that most of the people have issues, that is the restaurants. Let's imagine you have the restaurants and this is not the job. Let's say burger shop. You set this is burger shop, but the job is not burger shop. As you can see here, when you open this, wait, I did something wrong. Not here. Let's imagine here in the management. You have the job different, it will throw you an error with the job. So we just set these with the same as the job. As you can see, the error will no longer be here, and you can open the menu. Some issues that most of the people have because they don't configure the script correctly, and it is really simple to explain these errors. Like you open ticket in 2 minutes, the ticket is solved because it is really simple issue. So please make sure to see the whole tutorial. If you're here, basically you saw the whole tutorial and you know how the script works and how to configure this correctly. I know this video is big as fuck, but I'll try my best to cut some of the parts on the on the edition and make the video less longer as I can. So thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting me. Love you. See you in the next video. Comment any video of any script you want to have tutorials done. I really did. I think I already did for the most harder scripts to configure. The rest are really simple, so there is no reason for a tutorial, I think. So that's it. Thank you. Bye. See you again.